Gente de Lucha Libre Online, ¿cómo están? Yo soy Jorge Cervera y estoy aquí con un luchador súper importante. Ustedes ya lo conocen, los aficionados mexicanos lo conocen, ha estado en las mejores empresas. La gente mexicana lo ha visto en el Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre, en Japón lo han visto en New Japan Pro Wrestling y en todo el mundo lo han visto en AEW. Con todos ustedes, Rocky Azúcar Romero, here at Lucha Libre Online. Rocky, how are you? And thank you so much for the time to make this interview.
Jorge, estoy muy bien y gracias por el gran introduction. Azúcar, remember, azúcar,
Yes.
eso. Un poco más como así, con los
Okay.
shoulders. There.
Yeah, you
Perfect, perfect.
know how to do it. But right now, Fantasy Mania is approaching, and we have the first part on Mexico, and it was a really great event. But right now, I want to talk about Fantasy Mania USA. Is the July 13th? We are just like 3 days. So, how do you feel about this big event? And what are your thoughts about all the match card? Because we got Hechicero, Zack Saber Jr., Mystico, and Biba Bam. So, how do you feel about this great event and your match?
No estoy muy contento con la cartelera de Fantastic Mania USA. La, it's like the third installment, the third version of this special event between CMLL and New Japan Pro Wrestling. In February, we had Fantastic Mania Japan, and then we just had Fantastic Mania in Mexico. And now we're taking this collaboration, this great collaboration between Consejo and New Japan, and we're bringing it to the United States for the very first time, por la primera vez. So la cartelera es increíble. Hay luchadores y luchadoras de Consejo, de New Japan Pro Wrestling, de AEW. So, es un muy gran cartel.
Yeah, and on these two companies, del Consejo and New Japan, you got a great position. Tienes una gran posición. Ayudas mucho. You help so much to the wrestlers. So I want to know in which point and what was the thing you say, I want to work right now, not only with AEW, not only with New Japan Pro Wrestling, but with the Lucha Libre, with the Consejo, because we know there's so much culture on this country in Mexico. So why you say I want to go to the Arena Mexico, I want to go to the CMML?
Well, I have a long history with CMLL and wrestling in Arena Mexico. It goes back to 2004 was the first time I stepped foot in an Arena Mexico ring, and I was just a young kid, just 21 years old. So and CML gave me one of my probably the one of my first great opportunities in professional wrestling. And so I'm very grateful for the opportunity and to work in what, in my opinion, is what lucha libre culture is, and the company represents the history and the richness of that history and culture in Consejo Mundial de Lucha Libre. So that when I went there in 2003 and 2004, it really springboarded my career to another level, and I'm forever grateful for that. So but then the history between me and CML was also, there was some stuff that happened. I went to the opposite company, and but then working with New Japan for so many years, New Japan and CML have always had an amazing relationship, and that opened the door. And the question was, CML reached out and said, "Would you like to come back to Arena Mexico?" And I thought it would never happen. I honestly thought I would never be back in Arena Mexico. So immediately I said yes. I would love the opportunity, and I would love to do the things the right way, and really create something special. And and I want to say that I'm the reason, but I think I'm definitely a big part of the reason that Arena Mexico in the last year and a half has done some really big business. And right now, CMLL is hot. It's one of the hottest companies in the world right now. And if you look back at the timing of it all, it was right when Rocky Romero came back to Arena Mexico. So for me, I was very influential in opening the doors between, AEW coming to CMLL. And of course, like I said, doing New Japan business with CMLL as well. And my rivalry with Volador started to get people worldwide to start watching CMLL, for the very first time, or to come back to watch Arena Mexico. So it's been a crazy year and a half, almost 2 years now, and I love it. And this opportunity on July 13th in San Jose is just another great moment for me to be involved with CMLL and bringing CMLL and New Japan together.
Yeah, that's right. I think you are one of the reasons that the people really go back to watch the CMLL, because I remember with my friends, they was like, dude, you need to see right now the Arena Mexico because is this dude Rocky Romero from AEW. And because I only saw at some point wrestling, because the Lucha
Mm-hmm.
Libre for a couple of years was like the same, and I was like, I don't know. And actually, I
Right.
had the opportunity to take a picture with you real quick, uh,
Really?
2 years ago. No, 1 year ago.
Oh, oh,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
Very
So
cool.
it was like really
I think
fast.
I think I'm wearing the same shirt. It's
Oh,
similar.
yeah,
Look at that.
yeah, it's the same shirt.
Hey.
That's right. Hey, and on that show was a week before of the Grand Prix, and there was TJP, Samurai del Sol,
Mhm.
and you have a match, TJP and you versus Virus and Volador Jr. And
Oh, right,
this was
right.
my second time going to the Arena Mexico, and I just remember all the people yelling at you, and I was like, "Damn, this dude is hot! Like everyone's hating, so you're doing a great job." And
Thank you.
you say something cool, like you don't want to say you are the reason, but you're a so important part on this. And right now, the wrestlers of the CMLL are on AEW. And
Hmm.
we got Hechicero, who gets a great match on Forbidden Door versus MJF. So, what are your thoughts about the opportunities you are giving to the Mexican wrestlers? Because some of the, maybe all the Mexican wrestlers want to be on another countries and have that platform like AEW to show the people
Hmm.
what they can do. So we saw that Hechicero say, okay, you give me opportunity and I'm going to
Hmm.
invest. And all the people was like, oh my God, when he entered to the Battle Royale versus Will Ospreay, JY,
Hmm.
was a big moment for him. So how do you feel about the Mexicans? They are doing his best with the opportunities you give to them or the company give to them.
Right. I think that Tony Khan, who's the owner of AEW and the president, he really has a deep respect for New Japan and CMLL. For many years he was a fan and was he always says that Mystico was one of his favorite wrestlers of all time, and for many years he watched CMLL. So it was an easy sell to Tony to say, how would you feel about AEW working with CMLL? And obviously another historic moment for that was when Mystico wrestled Rocky Romero in AEW for the first time. So it's been cool that I've had so much trust between AEW and CMLL and New Japan to be not only like kind of bridge, make a bridge between everybody, but also to be in the ring to actually do it and be a part of these historic moments. So, I'm a fan of lucha libre, and I talk a lot of crap. I talk a lot of crap, but I also believe that lucha libre is, not only is it, CMLL is the oldest wrestling promotion in the world, but I want people to see worldwide how amazing and how great it is. And I believe that the wrestlers in CMLL are some of the top in the world, and their style is so unique and different and special. And a luchador wearing a mask, and these great, beautiful costumes, and the presentation is just incredible. So, like, I want other people worldwide to be able to see that because there's something really special about it. So to be able to see in Forbidden Door and even going up to Forbidden Door, Hechicero coming into AEW, Volador and Mystico coming, and Ultima Guerrero. So many people have been able to cross over and show what lucha libre and Mexican lucha libre is all about. And that was my goal when I came back to Arena Mexico, was to get eyes worldwide and people to start watching what an amazing product CMLL is. And I feel like it's been very successful. And we've seen, obviously, like, lots of really big events, crossover events. We've seen ticket sales go through the roof. We've seen CMLL getting more and more popular worldwide, especially in the United States. And AEW has been a great partner to give the platform to all these great wrestlers in CMLL, and it's been pretty amazing to see that it all kind of come together.
Yeah, and the people on United States, like, I really enjoying the CMLL style of lucha libre, and
Mm-hmm.
because of that, we have this event, Fantasia Mania, on USA, because the
Right.
people want the lucha libre on United States, and actually the project of New Japan Strong. There are some wrestlers of the Consejo that goes to United States, but on this show, particularly on Fantasia Mania, there was a match of the women's match. Well, we have a little change today on the match card. Right now, Viva
Mm-hmm.
Van, Juvia, and Willow gonna be well, everyone had the opportunity to get the title that Stephanie Vaquer left right now. What are your thoughts about this change we have right now on the match card and the women's level we're gonna have that day on Fantasia Mania?
Right, right. So obviously with Stephanie dropping out, we needed to kind of regroup and obviously come with a match that would represent a great title match. And not only that, but also represent someone from AEW, someone from CMLL, and someone from New Japan, to represent the three companies coming together for and having these three great women who could possibly be champions anywhere at any company at any time to fight for the CML World Women's Championship. So that was a really important point, because it's hard to say, right, like, who in the rankings would be the best option. So when it was brought to the table of, let's say, why don't we get a woman from each group and let's let them fight it out in a triangle match, in a three-way, and let's see who the best is. And somebody will make history for sure on Saturday night. And I think Willow has been an amazing, former New Japan Strong, the first ever New Japan Strong women's champion. And she's also former TBS champion. Viva Van is someone who really has turned heads all over the world. She's been wrestling in Vietnam. She's been wrestling in Japan. She's been wrestling all over in AEW and Ring of Honor. And, she's someone I would love to see come over to CMLL at some point, because I think she's very talented and she trains her really hard in the New Japan LA dojo. And Juvia, to me, is someone who represents exactly what the Amazonas are in CMLL. So, it could go any way. There's so many ways that this match could go, and I'll be excited to see what the three girls put together on Saturday.
Yeah, so it's gonna be one of the best match of the night, and we're gonna have
For sure.
a new champ that night at Fantasia Mania. And I want to talk about your career. I remember your time as Black Tiger, and right now at the CMLL versus Volador, I saw you got a mask over there.
Yeah, yeah, that's a half Volador, half Black Tiger mask there.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so cool. I remember that
I
day.
stole that, and then I stole that Mascara Dorada mask off his head. I stole that Bushi mask, and then the other one is a half tiger mask, half black tiger. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then there's my CMLL Super Ligero Championship, because I was the first ever CMLL Super Ligero Championship, and welterweight championship, of course. So yeah, I like to collect all the
yeah.
stuff that I.
Congratulations about.
It's been a long history. It's like 20 something years.
Yeah, I know. And what can you compare to be one day at United States, the other one to Japan, and then to Mexico, like a lot of change on your career? How do you adapt to the kind of luchadors, the kind of wrestlers, the crowd? It's so different at Japan, and you can't compare the crowd of Mexico to anyone. Well, for me, at my point of view. I
Mhm.
think we are so different. We get so excited. We stream a lot of stuff. So how do you feel about all the opportunities and all the styles you need to do and the things your brain going through when you are on the ring and you see all the people yelling at you, or the people are so quiet at Japan? It's so different.
Right, right, right. Well, if I'm not usually wearing this shirt, I'm usually wearing an Eddie Guerrero t-shirt. I have a couple different ones, and he was by far my favorite wrestler of all time. And one thing that I always thought about Eddie was like he could wrestle in America, he could wrestle in Mexico, he could wrestle in Japan. No matter where he was in the world, he could adapt to the style, he could adapt to his opponent, he could adapt to the situation and the crowd. And that's something that I always wanted to be. You know, I wanted to be like Eddie so that I could be put in any type of situation and be completely ready. So that's why, when I got the opportunity to come to CMLL when I was younger, I got the opportunity to go to Japan. I took them immediately because those are the same places that Eddie went to and really he honed his skills. So, with that experience, for me, it doesn't matter about what the crowd wants to do. Like I know how at this point how to control the crowd exactly what I want them to. If I want you to cry, if I want you to laugh, if I want you to, you know, yell grosserias at me, I'm going to get you to do it in any way possible. But I also, the other side of that is, I can wrestle the lucha style. I can wrestle the British style. I can wrestle the Japanese style. I can wrestle the American style because I put the time and the work in the gym in the dojo. So for me, I think like probably the Mexican fans are my favorite. I would agree with you. There's nothing like Mexican fans because you never know what's going to happen, and the way that their excitement is for sports in general, whether it's boxing or football or lucha libre, they have a passion like no other. They really have. They really are some of the most passionate people, and even the food. The food has a lot of spice and a lot of passion in that as well. And they everything they do is that way, and it's something that I appreciate because for me, and I've said this before, like lucha libre for me not isn't about llaves and vuelos and all that. It's about the passion and the emotion. And I think, Latin people in general, and especially Mexican people, have, that in them. It's in that blood. They got hot blood. So I really love doing that, being in Mexico. And the Japanese fans, they're passionate in a different way. They have a lot of knowledge about what each move means or each submission, or they know the detailed backgrounds of every wrestler. So they follow it in a very different way than I think like the Mexican fans or the American fans would do. But I feel like there's kind of a level, right? Like it's like all the way to the left is Japanese, in the middle might be like American and British, and then all the way on this side is like the Mexican fans, in that kind of spectrum. And each one is slightly different, but in the end, wrestling is wrestling, and the love and the passion that we all have for it, it is something special. So, and if you can learn how to, really make that emotion come out of the fans, then it's the most beautiful thing about this sport.
Yeah, that's right. And I think Mexico, for something, is one of the most important countries of the on the wrestling industry. I think,
By far.
yeah, it's so different than London, so different than every place. And
Mm-hmm.
talking a little bit about New Japan Pro Wrestling, I want to talk about of the New Japan Pro Wrestling Academy, the dojo at California,
Mm-hmm.
California. And I remember the last year at the Grand Prix, there was a wrestler of California. I think was Adrian. No, I don't remember. I think
Adrian Quest, yeah,
Adrian
he
Quest
came to
go
the
to the
Grand Prix. Yeah.
Prix. So how do you feel that this guy was at the New Japan Academy one day and the other one can be at the Arena Mexico, one of the most important stages. So what is it? I know it's so important, the academy, for you and all the New Japan people. And I really want to know, it's possible to see more of the students, the people that are training there at Mexico or maybe at AEW, or in some point we know there have the New Japan Academy shows, but
Mm-hmm.
giving the opportunity to these guys to go to Mexico. I remember this girl, John Robbie,
Johnny Robbie, yeah.
she was at the Arena Mexico. So it's possible maybe to see the students of the academy.
For sure, for sure. That's a personal thing that I'm always trying to help, like the standouts of the academy, to try and get opportunities worldwide. We saw, like you said, with Adrian Quest and Johnny Robbie coming to Arena Mexico last year. I hope that later this year there'll be some other opportunities for either men or women of the academy to come to CMLL. Guys who participated in New Japan Strong quite a bit, in Badu Tito and Che Cabrera. I thought they did a great job at Fantastic Mania and the lead up to Fantastic Mania in CMLL. So there's definitely a lot of crossover with that kind of younger generation and people kind of coming up, because CMLL they're good about having a good eye of talent, right? And CMLL trains their own wrestlers in Arena Mexico. So I think to have that crossover with not only just the big stars, but also the younger generation coming up. Because if I didn't get an opportunity 20 years ago with CMLL, I wouldn't be Rocky Romero now, and I wouldn't be the star that I am for CMLL at this moment. So I think that part is very important. And when you have been around as long as CMLL has, they understand that, yeah, that you're not only investing in your current stars, but you're also investing in your future stars. And New Japan is the same way. There's always been an investment in future stars and how that important is the dojo system. That I feel like New Japan does the best in preparing a wrestler to become a star, probably more than anybody. They've probably created more stars over the last 40 years than anyone, including WWE. So I think that that's really important. And we will see more crossover. We often send New Japan Strong wrestlers or New Japan Academy wrestlers to ROH. That's also been, like I said, we've seen Viva Van cross over quite a bit over to ROH, and she's gotten some pretty big opportunities in AEW as well, wrestling some of the top women there. So she's definitely a standout, and she's somebody I would love to see come over to Mexico at some point, and I hope it happens soon.
Yeah, it will be great to see Viva Van maybe at the Grand Prix. That will be so cool. And
You
yeah,
never know.
yeah.
Yeah.
And tonight there will be announcement about Chris Jericho. We don't know if maybe he will be at the Grand Prix or at the anniversary. Right now, there's happening a lot of great stuff on the CMLL. I think the fans need to, if you are at the Mexico City or you will be at the Mexico City or Puebla, you can go. You can go over there to enjoy the best lucha libre in
Mhm.
the world. And Rocky, we are going a little bit to the end of this interview, but I really want to talk about the event at the Tokyo Dome. We're going to have CMLL, Ring of Honor, AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Stardom. I think is the biggest crossover in the history of professional wrestling. What we can expect you, I know you have some information about this, what the fans can expect about this, because I really want to go to that show.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like, okay, I'm gonna get my flight from Mexico to Japan to enjoy that show.
Right.
I think will be awesome to be there as a fan. But the people, like, we can have the Mexican wrestlers, the Japanese wrestlers, American wrestlers all around the world in one show at the Tokyo Dome. So
Mhm.
we can expect about that show.
Yeah, I think Wrestle Kingdom January 4th has become a destination, a wrestling destination every year. It's on the same date every year, and no matter if it's on a Monday or a Saturday. So I feel that this year, it's going to be on the weekend, so it's a great opportunity for New Japan to have two events in the Tokyo Dome, but we have to do it bigger and better, obviously. So adding the second night, Wrestle Dynasty on January 5th is going to be massive. And to also separate the nights, Wrestle Kingdom will be focused on New Japan and the storylines and everything that happened at the end of the year and start of the year. And then Wrestle Dynasty will be its own brand new concept. You know, we have amazing partners in Stardom, like you said, AEW, ROH, CMLL. So why not bring them and celebrate professional wrestling in the Tokyo Dome, which nobody else can do, and nobody can do it better than New Japan. So I'm super excited about the event. I know there's kind of limited information, but they just announced kind of that whole week is a huge wrestling week. Stardom is going to have multiple shows leading up to it, and then finally January 4 Wrestle Kingdom, January 5 Dynasty, and then January 6 will be the final. To wrap it all up will be the New Japan show to start off the year right. So yeah, it's going to be an incredible week of wrestling. So I think it's important because it appeals to fans internationally, right? I mean, Tokyo is a place that people would love to travel from all over, and not only to enjoy wrestling, but to take in the culture. It's an amazing city. It's an incredible city. There's no other city in the world that look quite like it. So, why not go to the wrestling capital of Asia? Go to Tokyo, come to the Wrestle Kingdom, come to the Tokyo Dome and experience it, because there's literally nothing like that. So, I expect that we're going to have an international audience, probably bigger than we have ever had, which is really exciting. Obviously, like, I think you always see quite a bit of Mexican fans come over for those shows. You'll probably see, tons of fans coming from the UK, tons of fans coming from America, Australia, Europe. I mean, they're going to come from all over to celebrate one thing, and that's the beautiful sport that we have of professional wrestling.
Yeah, that's right. I think it's gonna be a huge event. But right now we got Fantastica Mania. You can enjoy this great show this weekend. Rocky, something you want to say to the fans about this show, and what do we
Mm-hmm.
expect about the things that are happening between the Consejo and New Japan Pro Wrestling, like this great show?
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing show this Saturday night. You can watch it on NJPW World, the app, or just go to njpwworld.com or download the app on your smartphone. It's going to be an incredible show. We've got a heck of a lineup. Sugar's in the main event, of course. Revelos Increíbles.
Levels.
Is that what?
Levels.
Relevos Increíbles. I can't speak today. I'm sorry. But me and Volador, who's my sworn enemy slash son, mi hijo, versus Mystico and the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion Doki, all facing off one ring. It's going to be an incredible main event. We have the NJPW Strong Openweight Championship. Gabe Kidd defending his title against the legend Ultimo Guerrero. We've also got, like you said, the three-way match for the vacant CMLL World Women's Championship. Willow Nightingale from AEW, Viva Van from New Japan, and Juvia from CMLL. And we are going to crown a champion for sure that night. Also, like you said, Hechicero and Virus Los Maestros contra Zack Sabre Jr. and Bad Dude Tito TMDK. That's going to be a Lucha Classic for sure. And we've got a bunch of other amazing matches. Barbaro Cavenario versus Yoda Suji, who's been killing it the last 2 years that he's been back from his Mexican excursion. And the list goes on and on. It's going to be a great card. And if you can't make it live, definitely watch it on pay-per-view. But if you're in the San Jose area or it's a drivable distance, I suggest you come down, buy a ticket, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Yeah, that's right. So, Rocky, thank you so much for the time to make this interview. I really appreciated the opportunity to talk to you. You are someone who knows a lot of things about this industry, so I learned so much about you. Thank you for the time. Y gente, no se les olvide, Fantástica Manía. Ya estamos a unos días, 13 de julio, lo pueden ver en pay-per-view. O si están cerca, si están en Tijuana, hey, vayan, va a ser un gran show. La verdad, todos los fans van desde Tijuana para ahí. Muy fácil, manejan unas horitas y ven la mejor lucha libre del mundo. No se les olvide nada. Rocky, something you want to say? We're done.
No, Jorge, gracias for your time. I appreciate you. You're a young man on the rise, and you're breaking down the forbidden door of your own. you know. So with this interview, and I appreciate what you do, and it's the kind of things that I do. So I appreciate the hustle, man. And if you ever need anything, Rocky Romero is always here.
Thank you so much, Ricky. I really hope to see you soon in some show. And yeah, kind of a forbidden door, but I just want to the people enjoy wrestling around the world and have a great time. So, Rocky, thank you so much. Gente, muchas gracias por haber visto esta entrevista. Ya lo dijo Rocky, se está rompiendo un poquito la puerta prohibida de lucha libre online y el wrestling y lucha libre en todo el mundo. Así que se me cuidan. Yo soy Jorge Cervera y Fantástica Manía este sábado. Sigan viendo lucha libre online y en español. Nadie lo hace mejor. Bye bye.